Welcome to God's Message Now Today channel, a channel dedicated to bringing you the most inspiring and uplifting messages. To help you connect with God, subscribe for more videos. Today, we will be talking about I will answer your silent prayer, my child, come closer. Let the noise of the world fade away, if only for this moment. Let the rush of life, the ceaseless demands, the judging voices, and the heavy expectations fall behind. Here, in this sacred space between you and me, I want you to know one thing, an eternal truth that has echoed since before the stars were named and will remain long after the last mountains have turned to dust. I hear you. I hear you, not in the shouts of desperation or the eloquence of polished prayers. I hear you in the silence. I hear you in the pause between breaths, in the tightening of your heart when the pain becomes too much to bear, in the mute cry of a soul reaching out, searching for something, anything, to hold on to in the darkness. Did you think those moments were forgotten? Did you believe your wordless pleas simply dissolved into the void, unwitnessed, unheeded? That is the greatest lie the enemy of your soul has whispered in your ear during the long, lonely nights. It wants you to believe that silence is proof of my absence, that stillness is a sign of abandonment. It wants you to measure my love by loud signs, by miracles that tear open the sky, by instant answers to your every question. But today, I come to shatter that lie with a gentle yet unshakable truth. I come to tell you of the power hidden in stillness, of the depth of our relationship forged not in noise, but in quiet presence. This message is not a sermon. It is an encounter. It is the answer to a prayer you did not even know you had offered. It is the validation for every moment you felt invisible, every tear you thought no one saw, every sigh you believed was lost on the wind. I was there. I am here still, and I will answer. I have always listened to your most silent prayers, even when no sound was uttered. This truth runs contrary to everything the world has taught you. The world teaches that to be heard, you must speak up. To be noticed, you must make a noise. To prove your worth, you must perform. But I, the creator of the universe, the one who wove the very fabric of silence, have placed power in stillness. And it is in those seemingly empty, quiet spaces that I do my deepest work. Your secret prayers, the ones you thought were invisible, forgotten, or too weak to rise past the ceiling, are in fact the most powerful and profound prayers your heart can offer. I have collected every one of your unspoken words. I have held them close, as a mother cherishes the first treasures of her infant child. I do this because I am not a God who requires noise to recognize your presence. I am not moved by volume. I am moved by truth. The raw, unadorned truth of a heart seeking me in its absolute honesty. My presence in the silence is a recurring theme throughout your journey, whether you realize it or not. I know there are times you wonder if I am near, because you do not hear me in the way you expect. You look for a resounding thunder, a voice that pierces the clouds, or a sign that rends the heavens to confirm my intervention. But I have always spoken gently to the ones I love. I am in the whisper of the wind, in the sudden peace after a storm, in the quiet strength that helps you take one more step when you think you are exhausted. And when, my child, when even a whisper is too much for your breaking soul to bear, I will come and sit with you in the silence. My silence is never absence. My silence is never abandonment. On the contrary, my silence is often the space where I am doing my deepest work, where I am holding you, interceding for you with groans that words cannot express. This is my profound reminder to you. You are never overlooked. You are never invisible to me. I am walking beside you in every moment, whether in the desolation of unspoken questions or in the darkness of unexplainable reasons. Mankind, in its finite nature, often holds very specific and sometimes rigid expectations about how I will communicate or intervene in their lives. You expect signs as clear as day, unmistakably powerful voices, and immediate solutions to the problems that besiege you. This is not surprising, for you live in a world that constantly applauds action, reaction, and instant results. The world teaches you that to be heard, you must shout. To be noticed, you must create a spectacle. Even in prayer, you might feel that it must be perfectly structured, eloquent, or persistently repeated to be effective. You may have mistaken silence as a barrier between you and me, a sign of weakness, distance, or even your own spiritual failure. However, today I want to pull back the curtain on a divine truth, a reality far different and much more liberating. I do not need noise to notice you. I repeat, I am not moved by volume, but by truth. I created silence, and it was I who placed power in stillness. I do not demand perfect performances or elaborately decorated prayers. What I seek is your heart, a broken and contrite heart, a true surrender. What does this mean? It means that even when you cannot find the words for your lament, when all you can do is breathe through the pain and longing, I am already there, and I am already answering. The most distinct difference lies in how I answer. You expect thunder, but I often come in a whisper. My answer does not always arrive in the form you expect or ask for. Sometimes it is peace when you ask for a solution. Sometimes it is strength when you ask for relief. And sometimes, surprisingly, it is stillness when you ask for a way out. Why? Because I work in the realm of the eternal, and I never rush to trade what is everlasting for the sake of what is merely urgent in the moment. My silence is not distance. It is depth. In those moments when silence incites fear and feels like absence or abandonment, I want you to hear this affirmation from me directly. My silence is never my absence. I am still working. I am still holding. I am still interceding. Just as the sun continues to warm the earth, even when thick clouds obscure, its light, my love, and power are still at work for your good. This brings a profound insight that what you perceive as weakness, the silence, the lack of words, is actually a sacred point of contact, a bridge for me to step in and fill the space where language ends and true love begins. The purpose of these words, of this flow of messages, is to provide you with a detailed and extensive analysis of every aspect of the truth I am conveying. By expanding on each main idea, explaining the core concepts, and clarifying their meaning and significance, I desire to bring you a more comprehensive and profound understanding of my communication in silence. These words are designed not just to summarize, but to enrich your understanding of these divine principles and truths, helping you realize that every one of your silent prayers holds immeasurable value, is listened to attentively, and is answered in ways the world may not see, but your soul will surely recognize. Together, we will explore why silence is not a barrier, but a sacred invitation, a holy space where intimacy is built and the deepest transformation occurs. Beloved, I have heard you when you thought no one did. I was there in the most private moments when the room was still and your heart was loud with ache. This was not a superficial, distant listening. It was a complete presence, a deep empathy in your moments of greatest weakness and suffering. More specifically, I was there when you sat on the edge of your bed, unmoving, staring into the void with eyes that could not produce tears because they had already wept too many. Do you remember that moment? When emotional exhaustion peaked, when tears ran dry and despair became numb. Even then, when your lips trembled with prayers you never spoke aloud, I was listening. Your soul reached for me in the language of silence. And this is my promise, a powerful affirmation. Not a single cry of your heart has been lost to the wind. Dispel the fear that your unspoken prayers, your secret heart cries, will be forgotten or never reach me. On the contrary, I have gathered every unspoken word and held it close. I have collected every word not spoken and kept it near me, demonstrating a proactive act of preservation and cherishing. Every silent cry, every pained breath, every wordless longing is sacredly kept by me. Nothing is wasted. The contrast between the world's perspective and my nature is made clear from the beginning. The world teaches you that to be heard, you must shout. That to be noticed, you must make a scene. This creates an invisible pressure, forcing you to perform, to demand attention, even in your spiritual life. But today, I give you a liberating truth. I am not a God who requires noise to notice you. I am not moved by volume. I am moved by truth. What does this mean? It means the value of a prayer, or your own value, does not lie in outward noise or ostentation. What moves me, what causes all of heaven to lean in, is the authenticity, the unveiled honesty of your heart. That authenticity transcends all sound, all form. This redefines the nature of divine communication, making it more genuine and profound than any ritual or flowery speech. I do not seek ceremony. I seek your heart. I do not seek a performance. I seek your presence. I not only listen to your silence. I am the one who created it and placed power within it. I created silence. I placed power in stillness. This elevates silence from an empty or vacant state to a sacred and powerful entity. Look at the natural world I have built. When the mountains tremble, when the seas rage, when the earth groans, I remain steady in the silence that follows. It is in that quiet space that I do my deepest work. Even when the world around you is at its most chaotic and noisy, when mountains shake, seas rage, the earth groans, I remain steadfast in the ensuing silence. This shows you that silence is not a lack of activity. It is the context, the stage for my deepest and most powerful works. It is a sacred space where transformation and divine intervention are carried out discreetly, but with immense effectiveness. A truth that may surprise you: your loudest prayers have not always been the ones you've spoken. This challenges the common notion that prayer must be spoken, must be shaped by words to be effective. Not at all. Some of the most powerful cries you've lifted to me came from a place too deep for words, too sacred for sound. These cries did not emanate from your mind or lips, but from the very depths of your soul, surpassing the expressive capacity of human language. They are the purest expressions of longing, of pain, of absolute surrender. And I heard them. I hear them still. This assurance is not just a confirmation for the past, but a comfort for the present, showing that these profound prayers still resonate in my heart. This reinforces the idea that not all prayer rises from your mouth. Much of it is born from your soul's posture. Sometimes your most fervent prayer is the way you continue to show up, even when you feel empty to your core. It might be the whispered, "Help me," in your heart while you still have to smile at the world outside. It might simply be your willingness to sit with me, with no performance, no masks. It is that raw, unvarnished, and authentic self that I always receive with open arms in full. When you face silence from my end, I know you often feel fear. It can feel like a wall, an absence, a lack, or worst of all, abandonment. You call out in your mind, "Where are you?" And all you hear is the echo of your own question. However, I want you to hear this word clearly. Let it sink into every fiber of your soul. Child, my silence was never my absence. I was not gone. I was working. I was holding you. I was interceding on your behalf with groans too deep for words. My silence is not a sign of distance. It is a commitment that runs deeper. It is precisely when I am operating most powerfully in your life, even if you cannot perceive it with your senses. I repeat, My silence is not distance. It's depth. I am going deeper into your heart than you can know, preparing answers that will not just patch your wound, but restore your wholeness. Silence is not isolation. It is a space of divine depth. Even when the ache makes you feel left behind, my message remains unchanged. The ache you feel is not because I've left, but because you are made for me. That pain, that emptiness, is a natural longing for my presence, not proof of my absence. The active nature of my silence is continuously emphasized. When you experience silence, I am not merely being quiet. I am working. I am holding you. And I am interceding on your behalf with groans too deep for words. Does this sound similar to your own silent prayers? Wordless, deep, and powerful. Even when you cannot tangibly see my response, it does not mean I am not acting. Some of my most powerful answers begin underground, like seeds planted in hidden soil. They must be nurtured in silence before they sprout in sight. This likens my work in silence to the growth of a seed. It requires time, discreet nourishment in the dark, soil before it can manifest outwardly as a green shoot. I use silence strategically, like an artist uses shadow strategically, lovingly, to shape beauty and depth. In the stillness, I expose the hidden lies you have believed about yourself. In the stillness, I heal old wounds so they do not bleed. Into the new blessings I am preparing for you. Silence is not passive. In my hands, it is a powerful tool of transformation. To help you better understand the nature of this unseen presence, picture two things. First, in the same way that a parent watches a sleeping child, not disturbing the rest that heals, I watched over you. Think of that image. A father, a mother, sitting beside the bed of their sleeping child, not saying a word, not touching, simply keeping watch. They do not want to wake the child because they know that sleep is healing, restoring. Their presence is a silent protection. Their love and care still fill the room, though the child is unaware. I watch over you in the same way. Second, in the same way that the sun continues to warm the earth, even when clouds block its light, my presence remained even when you couldn't see or feel it. There are days when the clouds are thick and dark, and you cannot see the sun, but do you doubt that the sun has disappeared? No. You know it is still there, still radiating warmth and light, sustaining life. The clouds of your doubt, pain, or uncertainty may obscure your feeling of me, but my presence and my love continue to operate, still warming and sustaining life in your soul. The absence of feeling never equates to the absence of presence. I know there are times when you are in such extreme distress that even whispering a prayer is too much for your soul. In those moments, I do not step back. I do not wait for you to regain your strength. Instead, I come into the silence and sit with you there. This is the unparalleled level of intimacy and companionship I offer you. I do not demand an explanation. I do not wait for polished phrases. All I need is your willingness, an open heart, a presence. This breaks down all barriers of unworthiness or helplessness in prayer. I am not impatient with your silence. When the pain is too deep and steals your voice, when fear paralyzes your throat, when shame convinces you that silence is safer than exposing your brokenness, I still do not condemn or turn away. Instead, I come, not to ask for your words, but to hold your heart. I have witnessed when your voice broke mid-sentence, when you turned away so no one would notice your tears, and when you sat with clenched hands, unable to pray, unsure if I would still want to hear from you. In those moments, I never recoiled from your silence. I leaned in even closer. Among the greatest fears when you face silence is the feeling of being isolated, disconnected. I understand that. I know how silence can feel like isolation, but I want to invert that notion in your mind. But my silence is not distance. It's depth. My silence is not a dividing wall. It is a doorway to a deeper understanding of me and of yourself. It is a space where I am going deeper into your hurt than you can imagine, preparing answers that will restore your wholeness rather than just patching a surface wound. This silence is used by me to heal the entire story of your life, not just a single painful moment. I use it to write peace into your very identity, not just into a specific situation. Furthermore, I affirm that the world might misread your quiet as weakness or detachment, but I never confuse silence with distance. The world may be mistaken, but I am not. I understand the language of pain. I understand the dialect of the spirit. I hear you even when you have gone completely still. My silence is a sign of profound intimacy, where I work from the inside out, changing your very nature so that you can receive the blessings I am about to give without being broken by them. People often carry grand and traumatic expectations about how I will reveal my presence and power. When you pray or await my intervention, I know you wonder sometimes if I am near because you don't hear me the way you expect. This expectation is often based on the powerful and impressive imagery that people associate with power. You expect thunder, a voice that breaks through clouds, a sign that parts the sky. These expectations might stem from how you see this world operate, where great changes are often accompanied by noise, upheaval, and clear, undeniable signs. You might feel that an all-powerful God like me must manifest his power in a spectacular, irrefutable way. And when those signs do not appear, when all you receive is silence, you begin to doubt. You doubt my closeness, my concern, the fear that this season will never end, or that silence means abandonment, often arises from these very unmet expectations. But I have always spoken gently to the ones I love. My way of speaking to you reflects the nature of our relationship, a characteristic gentleness and intimacy. I do not need to overwhelm you with power or deafening sound to convey my message. Remember the story of the prophet Elijah. The fire may rage, the wind may howl, the earth may shake, but I was not in them. I am in the whisper. Even amidst the greatest chaos of your life, my true presence and voice are not in the attention-grabbing elements outside, but in the subtle whisper that requires sensitivity and attention on your part to recognize. Furthermore, there is an even deeper promise. When even the whisper is too much for your soul to bear, I come into the silence and sit with you there. This is the promise of my unconditional companionship, even when you have no strength left to listen or feel anything. I am still present, journeying with you in that stillness. This teaches you that in silence, you are learning to recognize my whisper. You are learning that I am not just the God of fire and wind, but I am the God of stillness, of breath, of NEARNESS. Another common misconception is about the form of the answer. You often have very specific ideas about how my answer will come. You create a scenario in your mind and expect me to follow it. But I want you to know that, though you may not yet see the response, I assure you my answer is in motion. Not every answer arrives in the form you expect. I do not always respond with clear external changes or immediate solutions. Sometimes, my answer comes in a much more internal and profound form. For example, sometimes it is peace when you ask for a solution. You pray for a solution to the problem, but I give you the peace to face it. Sometimes it is strength when you ask for relief. You ask to be freed from the burden, but I give you the strength to carry it. Sometimes it is stillness. When you ask for a way out, you ask for a way out of the storm, but I come and make you still in the midst of it. This shows that I am not just concerned with solving external problems, but I am more concerned with working at a deeper level, changing your very inner nature so that you can face any circumstance. My answers are never absent. They are simply unfolding in my way. Sometimes my response is not the open door, but the closed one that kept you from destruction. Sometimes my answer is a closed door, a denial, because I foresee a destruction that you do not. That is my protection, even if it seems like a disappointment at first. Sometimes it's the friend who showed up when you couldn't speak, the stranger who said the very words you couldn't form, the unexpected moment of peace that settled like a balm over your restless soul. My answer can come through a friend, a stranger, or an inexplicable internal moment. Sometimes the answer is a softening of your own heart, a forgiveness you thought was impossible, a strength you didn't know was yours, a comfort that came with no explanation other than me. Internal changes, like greater compassion, unexpected inner strength, the ability to forgive, are also direct answers from me. Sometimes my answer is simply me, holding you through the storm, remaining when everyone else is gone. Finally, sometimes the most precious answer is not a change in circumstances, but my own steadfast presence in the most difficult times. These things emphasize that I am not just the giver of gifts, I am the gift itself. And my answer is often myself and the internal transformation I perform within you. In moments of profound grief or despair, people often feel an invisible pressure to explain their pain, to justify the depth of their sorrow, so that others can understand and accept it. But I am different. While others may require you to speak, to explain, to justify the depth of your sorrow, I simply require your surrender. Let the liberation of this word sink into you. I do not need you to articulate your pain perfectly. I do not need you to rationalize your emotions. I do not need an essay on your sorrow. I only invite a simple, yet incredibly powerful posture: surrender. Surrender is an act of faith, where you release the control you think you have and completely entrust yourself and your circumstances into my hands. That surrender acknowledges that I understand far better than any explanation you could offer. And that surrender becomes the doorway to a kind of peace the world cannot give. The misconception about prayer often includes the idea that it must follow a certain structure, be eloquent, or be repeated persistently. Yet, I tell you plainly, you do not need to impress me with perfect prayers. You do not need to perform. I am not looking for ceremony. I'm looking for your heart. This completely shatters any pressure for perfection or ritual in your spiritual life. I do not care about the surface, the pretense, or the beautiful words. I see through all of that. I care about the deepest motive, the true state of your heart. I am not measuring your worth through your articulation. I'm not tallying your words or analyzing your phrasing. I am simply waiting for your heart. Authenticity, unadorned, unveiled, that is what I invite and cherish most. Do you remember? Do you remember when you were young and believed that if you closed your eyes and wished hard enough, something magical might happen? Do you remember that simple, unquestioning faith? That childlike faith wasn't wrong. It was simply looking for me in a way your heart could understand. That same longing, that same innocent reaching, that was prayer. This affirms that the simplest, most uncalculated and uncomplicated desire of a child's heart is also true prayer. In my eyes, even now, when your faith may feel bruised and your hope has become fragile, that flicker within you still reaches me. That tiny spark is still powerful enough to move heaven. I answer you not because you are worthy or have earned it. I answer because I love you and because I delight in being near you. Your silent prayer is written into the very rhythm of your existence, and I understand that rhythm because I am the one who created it. Continuing on the theme of authenticity, I want you to engrave this. I do not ask for articulation. I invite authenticity. I do not demand clarity in speech. I invite authenticity in being. This means that even when you cannot express your pain, fear, or longing in words, you are still invited to come to me authentically. And here is one of the greatest truths. Your silence is not a barrier between us. It is a bridge, a holy invitation for me to step in, to fill the space where language ends and love begins. Silence, instead of being an obstacle, becomes an inviting space, a doorway opened for my love and divine intervention. When all that remains is the deep ache beneath your ribs, I am already there, and I am already answering. I do not ask for your strength. I give you mine. This leads to a powerful affirmation. Sometimes your most fervent prayer is the way you continue showing up, even when you feel empty. Sometimes it's the way you whisper help in your heart while smiling. On the outside, sometimes it's just your willingness to sit with me. No performance, no masks, just you as you are. That is enough. I receive you in full every time. I receive you completely, without demanding any cover-up or pretense. Do you know how deeply I cherish your hidden moments? The times when you sit quietly with me without expectation, simply to be near my presence? Those are treasures in my kingdom. These moments are pure, untouched by the world's demands or the need to prove anything. They are not tainted by the need to prove yourself or by the noisy expectations of the world. I am not moved by embellished or decorated prayers. I am moved by intimacy. Give me the raw places, the fragmented sentences, the silent aching. That's where I do my best work. That's where I pour out my healing. This shows that your very vulnerability, your imperfection, and your silent pain are the most powerful points of contact for my healing and transformative work. Do not be afraid of the places you think are too quiet, too hidden for anyone to care. I have built my home inside your depths, not your polish. And it is from that holy place that my answers are rising. I want to elevate your understanding of silent prayer. It is not merely a momentary cry or a fleeting thought. Your silent prayer is not merely a momentary cry. It is a divine transaction. It is a divine transaction. When you offer me a silent prayer, you are engaging in a profound exchange with the divine. Specifically, you have placed your heart into my hands, and I hold it with reverence. You have placed your heart, the center of your emotions, will, and being into my hands. And I, the creator of the universe, receive it with deep reverence. This is not a bargain or a superficial request. It is an act of trusting surrender, and I cherish these hidden moments as the most precious treasures in my kingdom. Those are treasures in my kingdom. After your heart has been placed in my hands, hear these powerful assurances. I will not drop it. I will not forget. I will not delay out of neglect, but out of perfect timing. I will not let it fall. I will not forget it. I will not delay out of neglect, but because I am waiting for the perfect moment. This word directly addresses your most common fears, that your prayer will be ignored, forgotten, or not taken seriously. I affirm my absolute faithfulness. Every silent prayer, every sigh, every sleepless night becomes a seed, and I never forget to water what you have sown. I never grow weary of your silence or frustrated with your process. Nothing is lost with my. Not a sigh, not a second, not a single silent cry. Nothing is lost with me. Not a sigh, not a second, not a single silent cry. I keep them as treasures, not because I need to be reminded, but because they are profoundly meaningful to me. I gather them in my heart, and I will answer in ways that eternity will praise, even if you cannot understand it now. To reinforce the idea of my personal and direct care, remember this. You're not in a queue, you're in my hands. You are not standing in line. You are in my hands. This image eradicates any notion of a heavenly bureaucracy, a long waiting line that people often feel in this busy world. No, you are not a number, a case to be processed. I hold each one of you individually, directly, and privately. This emphasizes the unique nature of the relationship between you and me. ensuring that you are not just one among many, but an individual, specially cared for by the Almighty Himself. I will redefine for you the nature of heaven's language. The language of heaven does not always sound like words. It hints at a higher, deeper form of communication, not limited by human vocabulary. Instead, it sounds like trust. It sounds like surrender. It sounds like the beating of a heart that refuses to give up, even when it has no strength left to speak. This language is a manifestation of an internal state. It is the sound of trust when everything seems senseless. It is the sound of surrender when you release control. It is the sound of a persevering heart that refuses to give up, even when all words are exhausted, that my ability to understand surpasses all limits of language. I have always been fluent in the unspoken. I have always been fluent in the unspoken. This means I do not need you to pronounce every word, every sentence, for me to understand your heart. I already know your rhythm, the unique rhythm of your soul, because I am the one who created it. This fluency allows me to access the depths of your soul that you yourself are sometimes unaware of or cannot articulate. Powerful contrast is drawn between how the world reacts to silence and how heaven receives it. The world may overlook your silence, but heaven leans in. I lean in. I draw closer still. The world may ignore your silence, but heaven leans in to listen. I lean in closer. I draw even nearer. This emphasizes that your silence is not meaningless in the eyes of the divine. On the contrary, it attracts the deep attention of me and the entire heavenly court. The angels are not confused by your silence. They recognize its power. Your authentic silence echoes louder than songs sung from a place of pride. It moves heaven more than sermons spoken without surrender. It resounds louder than songs sung from a place of pride. It moves heaven more than sermons spoken without surrender. I sit with you in your pain, and I answer in ways the world may not see, but your soul will recognize. I answer in ways the world may not see, but your soul will surely recognize. Even when you feel your silent prayers are weak and insignificant, I want you to know this truth. There is a place in my heart where your quiet cries echo louder than the world shouts. There is a place in my heart where your quiet cries echo louder than the world shouts. This completely inverts the human conception of volume and importance. The power of a prayer lies not in the noise it creates, but in the sincerity and depth from which it originates. These silent prayers are not just heard, they live here with me. They shape my actions on your behalf. They matter deeply. You matter deeply. They live here with me. They shape my actions on your behalf. They matter deeply. And you, my child, you matter deeply. There is something sacred in the moments when words fail you. There is something sacred in the moments when words fail you. This is an acknowledgement that the inability to express is not a failure. It is a sacred opportunity. In those moments, you may feel broken, uncertain, or even unworthy to approach me. But I tell you, it is in those very moments that I draw closest. I draw closest. Your weakness, your brokenness, is the most powerful invitation for me to intervene. One of the most powerful discoveries I want you to grasp is the redefinition of the role of silence. Your silence is not a barrier between us. It is a bridge, a holy invitation for me to step in, to fill the space where language ends and love begins. Your silence is not a barrier between us. It is a bridge, a holy invitation for me to step in, to fill the space where language ends and true love begins. Silence is not a deficiency. It is a space that I long to fill with my very love. It becomes a sacred point of contact where your authenticity and my love meet, transcending all limitations of words. I created you with many complex layers: soul, mind, spirit, heart. Therefore, not all prayer rises from your mouth. Much of it is born from your soul's posture. Not all prayer rises from your mouth. Much of it is born from the posture of your soul. This expands the concept of prayer beyond the traditional framework of speaking aloud. It includes your attitude, your internal state, and the presence of your soul before me. Sometimes the most powerful prayer is not words, but the persistent act of continuing to show up, even when you feel empty. It is the resilience in sitting with me, without performance, without masks, just as you are. This is worship in its purest form. Not the sound of your song, but the position of your heart. Not the sound of the song you sing, but the position of your heart, to affirm the power of wordless prayer. I want you to know this. Your silent prayer carries the same power as thunder when it is born in faith. Your silent prayer carries the same power as thunder when it is born in faith. This shows that the power of prayer lies not in its sound or form, but in the quality of the faith from which it arises. Your faith, even when silent, has shaken heaven. It has reached me, and I am responding. It has shaken heaven. It has reached me, and I am responding. I firmly reject the notion that the silent seasons in your life are a punishment. No, child, they are not punishment. They are preparation. In the silence, I am not just preparing an answer to your prayer. I am reshaping you to receive what you've asked for in a way that won't break you. I am reshaping you to receive what you have asked for in a way that will not break you. Do you understand? Some blessings, some answers, if given too soon, would become too great a burden for you. Therefore, silence is likened to a training ground where your inner nature is forged and developed. This is a process of refining the soul so that you can attain a deep, unshakable trust. My purpose is not just to bring you relief. My purpose is to bring you revelation. A powerful metaphor I want you to remember is the growth of a tree. Would you doubt the tree just because you cannot yet see its root? Would you abandon the harvest because it begins in stillness? Would you doubt the tree just because you cannot yet see its roots? Would you abandon the harvest just because it begins in stillness? Trust this. Even now, in the hush of unanswered prayer, something holy is growing. I'm tending to what you entrusted to me, even when you did not have the words to offer it aloud. I am caring for what you have entrusted to me. This silence has been your root work. Hidden, yes. Forgotten, never. This silence has been your root work. It is hidden, yes, but it is never forgotten. I am the gardener, and I've been tending you with holy precision. There will be fruit. There will be beauty. But first, there must be roots. And you have let me go deep. I honor that. I honor you. I am the gardener, and I have been tending to you with holy precision. There will be fruit. There will be beauty. But first, there must be roots, and you have allowed me to go deep. I honor that. I honor you. In the silence, hidden things will be exposed. I use silence for exposing hidden lies you believed about yourself. This is a process of internal clarification, helping you see the false beliefs or unresolved wounds you have carried for too long. At the same time, when your mouth goes quiet, your spirit becomes louder, and that's when you can begin to truly hear me. When your mouth becomes still, your spirit becomes louder, and that is when you can truly begin to hear me. Silence removes external noise, creating conditions for an internal clarity, where the voice of your soul becomes clearer, and the ability to hear me is also enhanced. What has been hidden will come into the light, not to overwhelm you, but to affirm every silent moment you have courageously walked with me. The season of silence has a very specific purpose in preparing you. In silence, distractions fall away. In silence, the noise of others fades. In silence, you finally hear your own soul speak. Modern life is filled with distractions and external noise, making it difficult for you to listen to yourself, let alone listen to me. Silence is an environment intentionally arranged by me to eliminate those interfering factors, allowing for deep self-reflection and clearer communication with me. When you ask me why you cannot see my response, here is the answer. Because some of my most powerful answers begin underground, like seeds planted in hidden soil. They must be nurtured in silence before they sprout in sight. Because some of my most powerful answers begin underground, like seeds sown in hidden soil. They must be nurtured in silence before they can sprout into sight. This shows that my response process often begins discreetly, unseen. You are invited to trust this process, even when you see no clear evidence on the surface. This message likens silence to a creative tool in my hands. You think of silence as stillness, but it is anything but passive in my hands. I use silence like an artist uses shadow strategically, lovingly, to shape beauty and depth. You think of silence as stillness, but it is anything but passive in my hands. I use silence like an artist uses shadow strategically, lovingly to shape beauty and depth, just as an artist uses shadow to highlight light, to create form and depth in their work. I also use silence to shape and deepen who you are. This shows that silence is not emptiness or inactivity, but a creative and transformative space. A specific and incredibly important purpose of the healing work in silence is to address old wounds. In the quiet, I'm healing old wounds so they don't bleed into new blessings. In the quiet, I am healing old wounds so they do not bleed into new blessings. This shows that I care about your long-term wholeness, not just solving the current problem. I want to ensure that your future blessings are not affected, not tainted by unresolved hurts from the past. When the human lips become still, a miraculous change takes place within. When your mouth goes quiet, your spirit becomes louder, and that's when you can begin to truly hear me. This indicates that external silence creates a space for deeper internal communication. The voice of your soul becomes clearer, and the ability to perceive my voice also increases. This completely refutes the world's notion that words equal strength, that noise equals progress. I define strength differently. Strength is found in the willingness to be vulnerable before me. Strength is found in trusting me when you do not understand. Strength is found in staying when it would be easier to run. Strength is found in waiting when the answer has not yet come. I assure you that waiting is never a futile delay. Even as you are waiting, even when you feel everything is at a standstill, I am already moving, already arranging, already weaving together the answers that will come in my time. I am already moving, already arranging, already weaving together the answers that will come in my time. This indicates a proactive and intentional process on my part. I am not sitting still. I am actively working behind the scenes, preparing everything for the perfect moment. Not one of your silent petitions has fallen away unnoticed. They live here with me. They shape my actions on your behalf. They matter deeply. You matter deeply. Not one of your silent petitions has been overlooked. They live here with me. They shape my actions on your behalf. They matter deeply. And you, my child, you matter deeply. I reaffirm clearly, not one of your silent petitions has fallen away unnoticed. This reinforces the idea of my meticulous care. Furthermore, understand that I work in eternity. I work in eternity. I do not rush what is eternal for the sake of what is urgent. I do not rush what is eternal for the sake of what is urgent. This explains why my answers may not come immediately. I am not bound by human factors of urgency. I prioritize the eternity and depth of my work over the speed of immediate results. That another important reassurance you need to hold on to. My timing is not delay. It is design. My timing is not a delay. It is a design. This means that any waiting is purposeful, part of my detailed and perfect plan. I do not rush what I love, and I love you beyond what you can imagine. My delay is never due to neglect. It is out of perfect timing. I am a gardener, tending to you with holy precision, knowing that fruit and beauty will come. But first, there must be roots. A profound reason for the wait is your internal preparation. You've been praying for answers, but I've been preparing your heart to carry them well. You have been praying for answers, but I have been preparing your heart to carry them well. Some answers may come quickly, but deep answers, life-changing answers, require a rewiring of who you think you are and how you see me. It requires a rearrangement of who you think you are and how you see me. I do not withhold to punish you. I prepare so that you may be sustained by the very thing I am about to give. I want to give you revelation, not just relief. Your silent prayers are not small. You asked for healing, for wholeness, to be used in ways that matter. And I have taken those requests so seriously that I have chosen to prepare you with precision in silence, where roots grow before the fruit appears. Waiting in silence is not passive. It is a powerful act of faith. Waiting in silence is not passive. It is one of the bravest acts of faith you can live. Waiting in silence is not passive. It is one of the bravest acts of faith you can live. It requires a kind of trust that can only be born in the not knowing. When your eyes see nothing, your hands hold nothing, but your heart remains steadfastly turned toward me. That is worship. That reaches heaven like waves of thunder, though on earth it is utterly silent. The stillness you thought was stagnation was actually a battleground where your soul was being refined, where your endurance was growing roots that no storm will ever tear from the ground. It was a battlefield where your soul was being refined, where your endurance was growing roots that no storm will ever tear from the ground. You are stronger than you know, not because you feel strong, but because you stayed when it would have been so much easier to run. The result of this journey in silence is not just an answer to a prayer, but a profound transformation of who you are. The person you were when you first cried your silent prayer is not the same person sitting with me now. You are softer and stronger, more tender and more grounded. The person you were when you first cried your silent prayer is not the same person sitting with me now. You have become softer and stronger, more tender and more grounded. Silence has not emptied you. It has made you holier in this process. You have begun to understand a deep truth about my love. You've begun to understand that my love is not measured in speed or spectacle. It's measured in presence, in constancy, in the way I never left, even when you thought I had. You have begun to understand that my love is not measured by speed or spectacle. It is measured by presence, by constancy, by the way I never left, even when you thought I had. Silence has become the space for you to learn to truly abide, to stay connected to me, not because I give you what you want, but because I'm your home. You learn to truly remain connected to me, not because I give you what you want, but because I am your home, the refuge of your soul. Silence has tuned your ears to frequencies you never noticed before. You're learning to hear me in subtler, more intimate ways, not just in answers, but in nearness. It has tuned your ears to frequencies you never noticed before. You are learning to hear me in subtler, more intimate ways, not just in answers, but in my very nearness. I repeat, the stillness is a battlefield where your soul was being refined, where your endurance was growing roots that no storm will ever tear from the ground. It deepens your inner strength and resilience. Do you realize? I have been acting within you throughout this time of silence. Where once there was fear, I've planted peace. Where once shame whispered in the dark, I've replaced it with dignity. Where there was once fear, I have planted peace. Where shame once whispered in the dark, I have replaced it with dignity. This shows that the transformation has begun invisibly, replacing negative emotions with positive ones and bringing deep healing to your soul. You do not need to shout to be seen. You do not need to perform to be loved. You belong to me, and I respond based on who you truly are, not how you pray. There is so much more I want to tell you, beloved. Our journey deeper into the truth of silence and my love has only just begun. Keep listening, for every word I speak is another step leading you out of the shadow of doubt and into the brilliant light of eternal truth. When you face pain so deep it cannot be spoken, when brokenness steals your voice, I know you often fear that I will turn away, that I will wait for you to get it together, or be strong. But that is how the world behaves. Not I. Listen closely, beloved. I never recoiled from your silence. I leaned in. I never stepped back from your silence. On the contrary, I leaned in closer. I never confused silence with distance. This shows my complete and unconditional acceptance of your most vulnerable state. I do not need you to interpret your sorrow. I come not to ask for your words, but to hold your heart. I come not to demand your words, but to hold your heart. I have seen when your voice broke, when you tried to hide your tears, and when you could not pray. And in those moments, I never turned my back on you. I was right there, in the silence, with you. People often feel an invisible obligation to keep silent about their pain, to carry it themselves as a private burden. But that is not my will. It's okay to admit that this journey has been painful. You don't have to pretend. You can admit that this journey has been painful. You do not have to pretend. I have never asked you to silence your sorrow. I've only asked you to let me carry it. I have never asked you to suppress your sorrow. I have only asked you to let me carry it for you. This frees you from the burden of having to appear strong or hide your pain from me. I do not ask you to conceal. I only want you to entrust that burden to me. Even when the sorrow is too deep to be articulated into thought, I am still carrying it. I have carried it on my shoulders for a very long time. People may fear that their prolonged silence, their lack of progress, will tire or disappoint me. But let me reassure your anxious heart. I do not grow weary of your silence, and I'm never frustrated by your process. I do not grow weary of your silence, and I am never frustrated with your process. This demonstrates my infinite patience and love. I am not bound by human speed or understanding of a process. I understand that spiritual growth is often a slow, sometimes messy and complicated journey. I accept all its stages, from steps forward to steps back. My patience is endless. I have witnessed every expression of pain, even the smallest unspoken. Ones you thought no one noticed. I saw when your voice broke mid-sentence and you turned away so no one would notice your tears. I saw when you sat with clenched hands, unable to pray, unsure if I'd still want to hear from you. I saw when your voice broke mid-sentence and you turned away so no one would notice your tears. I saw when you sat with clenched hands, unable to pray, unsure if I would still want to hear from you. This affirms my complete understanding of all. Your states, including your moments of greatest weakness and self-doubt. I do not ignore these signs. I recognize them as the most powerful, silent prayers. When you feel lost and left behind in the wilderness of unanswered questions, and in the shadow of why, I never leave you. Instead, I have walked beside you. I have walked beside you. You never have to go through that ordeal alone. Even when you cannot see or feel me, my footprints are right beside yours, in the dust of confusion and in the mud of despair. Even when your faith feels bruised and your hope becomes as fragile as a candle in the wind, that flicker within you still reaches me. That tiny spark inside you still reaches me. This emphasizes that even the smallest spark of hope or longing is enough to connect with me. I do not demand a blazing fire of faith. I cherish a sincere longing, no matter how faint. Have you ever wondered why I answer? The reason I answer is not because you are worthy, not because you have done enough to earn it. I answer because I love you. I answer because I delight in being near to you. I answer because I love you. I answer because I delight in being near you. This is a complete liberation from the burden of worthiness and performance. My love is unconditional. My delight is in the intimate relationship with you. Your silent prayer is written into the rhythm of your being, and I know that rhythm because I'm the one who created it. I do not work on the surface or the glamorous externals that the world often focuses on. I built my home inside your depths, not your polish, and it's from that holy place that my answers rise. I have built my home inside your depths, not your polish, and it is from that holy place, the deepest part of you, that my answers rise. In your weakest moments, when your thoughts are chaotic and your emotions collapse, when you feel you are falling apart, know that I was holding the parts of you that couldn't hold themselves together. I was holding the parts of you that you could not hold together yourself. I am the glue that binds your brokenness, the strength that keeps you from completely collapsing. People often try to hide their weaknesses and their wounded parts. But I want those parts. I don't just want your victories. I want your vulnerabilities. I want the messy, uncertain, trembling pieces too. Those are the ones I cradle with the greatest care. I do not just want your victories. I want your vulnerabilities too. I want the messy, uncertain, trembling pieces as well. Those are the parts I embrace with the greatest care. When you courageously reveal to me the parts you fear most, your disappointments, your shame, your brokenness, I am not horrified. I do not turn away. Instead, I move toward you. I wrap myself around the brokenness and speak life into what you thought was dead. I move toward you. I wrap myself around that brokenness, and I speak life into what you thought was dead. That is the nature of my redemptive love. My love and faithfulness are also shown in that I work on even what you have given up on. Even now, unanswering prayers you forgot you prayed. I'm unfolding promises you thought had expired. I'm redeeming moments you believed were wasted. Even now, I am answering prayers you forgot you prayed. I am unfolding promises you thought had expired. I am redeeming moments you believed were wasted. Nothing is in vain in my kingdom. I keep every breath, every moment, every silent cry as treasure, and I answer in ways that eternity will praise. I want to reaffirm once more the true role of silence in our relationship. Your silence is not a barrier between us. It is a bridge, a holy invitation for me to step in, to fill the space where language ends and love begins. Your silence is not a barrier. It is a bridge, a holy invitation for me to step in. It completely inverts the common notion that silence is an obstacle. Instead, it becomes an entryway, a sacred point of contact where I am invited to fill the void that words cannot reach. This is a transformation from a perception of absence to a perception of a unique opportunity to receive my divine love. When you cannot find the words to express, it is not the end of communication. It is the beginning of a deeper form. It is the space where language ends and love begins. My love does not need words to be conveyed or felt. It exists in the space beyond the capacity of language, in pure presence. Silence provides a liberating space for your soul. With me, your silence is a sanctuary, not a sentence. A place where your spirit can breathe without performance. With me, your silence is a sanctuary, not a sentence. A place where your spirit can breathe without performance. This is in stark contrast to the pressure of the world, which always demands performance and proof. In silence with me, your soul is free from the need to prove itself, allowed to exist authentically and without pretense. It is a safe place for the soul to be itself. Continuing this idea, silence is also where I can minister to your heart without you needing to defend your wounds. I can care for your heart without you needing to justify your wounds. people often feel the need to explain their pain or wounds, especially when others do not understand. But I do not require that. I care for your heart without any explanation or excuse. Creating a non-judgmental healing space. Silence is not just a place I visit. I actually dwell in it. I reside in it. This affirms my permanent and profound presence in your quietest and most private spaces. I am not afraid of silence. I make it my home, a place of intimate encounter between you and it. This message describes the positive transformation of experiences you once considered negative. Let your silence now become sanctuary. Let your waiting become worship. Let your surrender become the doorway to a kind of peace the world cannot offer. Let your silence now become a sanctuary. Let your waiting become worship. Let your surrender become the doorway to a kind of peace the world cannot offer. This shows that difficult periods can be redefined and transformed into opportunities to experience a deep and sacred peace that the world cannot provide. Instead of being a sign of forgetfulness, silence is redefined as the echo of my invitation. It is the echo of my invitation. I use silence to draw you nearer, to quiet the distractions, to remove the clutter of other voices. I use it to draw you closer, to quiet the distractions, to remove the clutter of other voices, so that in the end, you hear only my voice. I want to clarify my priority in our relationship. Sometimes my answers are not meant to end your prayer, but to extend our communion. You wanted a solution, but I wanted connection. You wanted clarity, but I wanted closeness. Sometimes my answers are not meant to end your prayer, but to extend our communion. You wanted a solution, but I wanted connection. You wanted clarity, but I wanted closeness. This shows that I care more about a deep and continuous relationship with you than just providing immediate solutions to your problems. I use those moments of waiting and searching to build intimacy between us. Silent prayer, and the process of waiting within it, leads to a different kind of relationship, a more mature one. It came from a relationship that was not built on demands, but on devotion. It comes from a relationship not built on demands, but on devotion. This emphasizes that our relationship is not a series of requests and responses, but a deep devotion and mutual trust. After searching for specific answers, you will eventually realize a deeper truth. The answers you've sought, some of them, will arrive wrapped in joy, others in wisdom, and a few in the realization that the silence itself was the answer. Because through it, you discovered that I am not just the giver of gifts. I am the gift. The answers you have sought, some will arrive wrapped in joy, others in wisdom, and a few will come in the form of the realization that silence itself was the answer. Because through it, you discovered that I am not just the giver of gifts. I am the gift itself. When you ask for change, for healing, for an end to loneliness, I first give you myself, so that when those things come, you will know who you are. You will carry it with compassion, and you will realize that I alone have always been enough. Silence creates a space for the deepest kind of communication. Let it become the sacred space where we commune, spirit to spirit, breath to breath. Let it become the sacred space where we commune, spirit to spirit, breath to breath. This describes a connection at the most fundamental and profound level, transcending the barriers of words and thought. It is a direct communication between your spirit and my spirit. In wordless moments, you come to me without any cover-up, pretense. This time you'll remember that silence isn't empty. It's an invitation, a sacred threshold where I meet you without pretense. This time you will remember that silence is not empty. It is an invitation, a sacred threshold where I meet you without pretense. This reinforces the idea of complete authenticity in the relationship with me, where all masks and defenses are removed. The quiet is not distance. It is a confirmation of closeness. Let it remind you that I am not a faraway God responding to long-distance cries, but a God who lives inside you, responding even before you ask. You are not praying into emptiness. You are praying into me, and I am answering even now. Let it remind you that I am not a distant God responding to faraway cries, but a God who lives inside you, answering even before you ask. You are not praying into emptiness. You are praying into me, and I am answering even now. Finally, silence is not the absence of my voice. It is a means of my communication. I am speaking through the silence in ways your heart is just beginning to understand. I am speaking through the silence in ways your heart is just beginning to understand. He conveys his message through subtler, deeper ways that your heart will learn to recognize over time. One of the most toxic lies the enemy plants in your mind is that silence equals the absence of my love. So don't let the silence lie to you. Don't let the absence of sound convince you of the absence of my love. So do not let silence lie to you. Do not let the absence of sound convince you of the absence of my love. Silence is not a void. It is a space full of me. I am closer than your next breath, nearer than your next thought. I have cupped my ear to your chest and heard the unvoiced prayer beating in your spirit. I have pressed my ear to your chest and heard the unvoiced prayer beating in your spirit. I repeat this because it is so important. The silence you feel as isolation or distance is, in divine reality, depth. My silence is not distance. It's depth. I am using it to go deeper into your heart, to heal your story, not just a moment of pain. The world might misread your silence as weakness or detachment. The world might misread your quiet as weakness or detachment, but I never confuse silence with distance. But I am never confused. To me, silence is not a shortcoming. It is a language I understand very well. I know the language of pain. I know the dialect of your spirit. I hear you even when you've gone completely still. I know the language of pain. I know the dialect of your spirit. I hear you even when you have gone completely still. The world sees the silence as inactivity, but I see it as sacred communion. The world sees silence as inactivity, but I see it as sacred communion. In the silence, you have let your pain speak without interruption. You've stopped pretending to be okay, and in doing so, you've given me access to the real you. And I have never, not for a moment, rejected what is real. You have let your pain speak without interruption. You have stopped pretending to be okay, and in doing so, you have given me access to the real you. And I have never, not for a moment, rejected what is real. You might think that if you do not feel anything, or do not have strong spiritual emotions, then you are distant from me. You've mistaken the absence of emotional noise for spiritual distance. But you need to know, the silence of your heart does not mean I've withdrawn. On the contrary, it often means I've drawn closer than ever before. You have mistaken the absence of emotional noise for spiritual distance. But you need to know, the silence of your heart does not mean I have withdrawn. On the contrary, it often means I have drawn closer than ever before. The world may try to convince you that stillness is failure, that if there is no visible progress, you are doing something wrong. But I do not measure growth in the world's way. I see your courage in continuing to breathe when you want to give up. I see your faith in continuing to trust when nothing seems to make sense. I see the humility in your silence when you stop trying to control what only I can shape. I do not judge you by how you pray. I look at your heart. You have not failed. You have been faithful. Faithful in the quiet, faithful in the stillness, faithful in the places no one else sees. You have not failed. You have been faithful. Faithful in the quiet, faithful in the stillness, faithful in the places no one else sees. You thought that your silence was weakness, but in my kingdom, silence often marks strength. It is not weak to be still. It is powerful. You have thought that your silence was weakness, but in my kingdom, silence often marks strength. It is not weak to be still. It is powerful. It takes strength to endure, strength to wait, strength to keep believing when the heavens seem closed. It takes strength to endure, strength to wait, strength to keep believing when the heavens seem closed. These actions require an extraordinary kind of strength, far beyond outward expression. It is the strength of will and spirit, fortified by me. The strength of faith in your silence is so great that it is the kind of faith that angels celebrate, the kind of trust that moves mountains, not outward ones, but the ones inside your soul. It is the kind of faith that angels celebrate, the kind of trust that can move mountains, not the external ones, but the ones inside your soul. In your weakest seasons, silence does not take away your identity. It reveals your true identity. The silence has not stolen your identity. It has revealed it. You're not a failure because you couldn't find the words. You are a warrior, wounded and still standing. You are a child of mine who chose to remain near, even when the silence was uncomfortable. And for that, I honor you. You are not a failure because you could not find the words. You are a warrior, wounded and still standing. You are a child of mine who chose to remain near, even when the silence was uncomfortable. And for that, I honor you. Sometimes, your silence is a survival instinct born from the exhaustion of trying to explain yourself to others who never truly listen. It is a survival instinct born from the exhaustion of trying to explain yourself to others who never truly listen. However, I am not like them. I never interrupt your soul. I never rush you to speak before you're ready. I never interrupt your soul. I never rush you to speak before you are ready. Instead of fearing or resenting silence, I encourage you. Don't be afraid of the quiet. Don't resent it. Let it become the sacred space where we commune, spirit to spirit, breath to breath. Do not be afraid of the quiet. Do not resent it. Let it become the sacred space where we commune, spirit to spirit, breath to breath. Embrace it as a sacred opportunity, a safe and intimate place. This message does not just focus on your personal transformation. It has a larger purpose, a purpose that extends beyond you. I will now use what you've walked through to minister to others. I will now use what you have been through to minister to others. Your personal experience of silence and my response will become a powerful tool for service and help. This shows that the challenges you have faced were not in vain. They have equipped you to be a source of comfort and hope for others who are walking in darkness. There are those around you, some you know, some you haven't yet met, who are standing in their own silence, who feel as lost, as voiceless, as invisible as you once did. There are people around you, some you know, some you have not yet met, who are standing in their own silence, feeling as lost, as voiceless, as invisible as you once did. After going through your own season of silence, you will have a special ability to connect with them. You will recognize the look in their eyes. You will recognize the ache of those who have cried in the dark. You will recognize the look in their eyes. You will recognize the ache of those who have cried in the dark. In those moments when others cannot find the words to pray, it will be you, the one who has experienced silence, who can say to them, "You don't have to speak to be seen." He hears you. He is already answering. You do not have to speak to be seen. He hears you. He is already answering. These words from your mouth will not just be a beautiful thought. They will be a lived and experienced truth, and they will carry the power to bring hope. This sharing does not necessarily have to be loud sermons or grand testimonies. Instead, it can be not loudly, but gently. Not loudly, but gently. And sometimes simply sit beside them in silence. That alone may be the greatest message of all. Sometimes just sitting beside them in silence. That alone may be the greatest message of all. It reflects the way I journeyed with you in your own silence. The true legacy you leave behind after this journey is not a catalog of perfect prayers or a flawless performance of faith. Instead, it is not a perfect prayer life, but a surrendered life. Not a performance of faith, but the presence of faith in every breath, spoken or unspoken. Not a perfect prayer life, but a surrendered life. Not a performance of faith, but the presence of faith in every breath, spoken or unspoken. This redefines spiritual success not as performance, but as an attitude of surrender and the presence of faith in every aspect of your life. The experience of silence and intimacy with me will become a fire within you, a fire that doesn't burn loudly but steadily, a light that won't fade when the room goes quiet, a fire within you, a fire that does not burn loudly but steadily, a light that will not fade when the room grows quiet. This is a lasting legacy, a source of strength and hope that does not depend on external circumstances. It is an inner light formed in the darkness, and it will continue to shine even in the deepest silence. This message concludes with a final and powerful affirmation of my faithfulness. Although you may feel the wait is a delay, I reassert that my timing is not delay, it is design. My timing is a design, not a delay. I do not rush what I love, and I love you infinitely. Every silent prayer, every sigh, every sleepless night becomes a seed. What began in silence will not end in silence. I will answer you. What began in silence will not end in silence. I will answer you. You will not look back on this season with resentment. You will see it as sacred, a time when you met me not through noise, but through presence, not through speaking, but through being. And you will know, truly know, that your silent prayer was never wasted. It was holy, and it was always heard. You will not look back on this season with resentment. You will see it as sacred, a time when you met me not through noise, but through presence, not through speaking, but through being. And you will know, truly know, that your silent prayer was never wasted. It was holy, and it was always heard. My final and most important answer is not something external, but myself. I will answer you, not just with words or miracles, but with myself. The true answer is the revelation of my own heart for you. When my answer comes, it will be more than just a change of circumstance. It will be a resurrection of hope, a transformation of heart, a testimony written in silence, but declared in power. It will be more than just a change of circumstance. It will be a resurrection of hope, a transformation of heart, a testimony written in silence, but declared in power. There will be fruit. There will be beauty. There will be fruit. There will be beauty. The seeds planted in silence will bloom with purpose. The answers born in quiet will shape your future. The seeds planted in silence will bloom with purpose. The answers born in quiet will shape your future. You will see the fruit, and when it comes, you'll know it didn't come from striving or eloquence or perfect timing. It came from abiding. It came from being still with me. It came from a relationship that was not built on demands, but on devotion. You will see the fruit, and when it comes, you will know it did not come from striving, eloquence, or human perfect timing. It came from abiding, from being still with me, from a relationship not built on demands, but on devotion. The change will not just be in what is around you, but in what has changed within you. Not just in what changes around you, but in what has changed within you. You are no longer the same person who first entered the quiet. You are stronger, softer, braver. You have roots now, and soon those roots will bear fruit. You are no longer the same person who first entered the quiet. You are stronger, softer, braver. You have roots now, and soon those roots will bear fruit. The answer is me. Not the change around you, but the constancy within you. not the resolution of your situation, but the revelation of my heart. The answer is me, not the change around you, but the constancy within you. Not the resolution of your situation, but the revelation of my heart. Remember that silence can be the soil of intimacy. Silence can be the fertile ground for intimacy. The moments you thought were empty were actually full of me. The days you felt the most alone were the days I was carrying you. The moments you thought were empty were actually full of me. The days you felt most alone were the days I was carrying you. Now, let these final affirmations seal this truth into your soul. Let them become your anchor in every storm to come. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are not broken beyond repair. You are mine, and I am answering even now. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are not broken beyond repair. You are mine, and I am answering even now. You are seen. You are known. You are held. You are seen. You are known. You are held. Do not fear the quiet. Embrace it, for I'm speaking in ways that go beyond sound. I'm restoring your ability to feel joy again, to dream again, to believe again. Do not fear the quiet. Embrace it, for I am speaking in ways that go beyond sound. I am restoring your ability to feel joy again, to dream again, to believe again. I am closer than your next breath, nearer than your next thought. I am closer than your next breath, nearer than your next thought. So let go of the guilt. Let go of the wondering if you could have prayed better, louder, more faithfully. Let go of the idea that you missed something or delayed something. You haven't missed anything. You haven't failed. You've simply lived through something sacred. So let go of the guilt. Let go of wondering if you could have prayed better, louder, more faithfully. Let go of the idea that you missed something or delayed something. You have not missed anything. You have not failed. You have simply lived through something sacred. I give you my peace, a peace that the world cannot understand, a peace that anchors, that settles, that reassures, a peace that reminds you that even if the answers unfold slowly, you are no longer waiting alone. You never were. A peace that anchors, that settles, that reassures. A peace that reminds you that even if the answers unfold slowly, you are no longer waiting alone. You never were. And now, beloved, my call to action for you is not a heavy task, but a natural sharing from the heart that has been healed and filled. Now, beloved, share this truth. Let someone else know they are not alone. Speak gently or simply sit beside them in silence. That alone may be the greatest message of all. Let someone else know they are not alone. Speak gently or simply sit beside them in silence. That alone, perhaps, is the greatest message of all. Thank you for listening to the messages from God. If you find it interesting, please subscribe and look forward to the next videos. Goodbye and see you again.